Hey everyone, welcome back. It seems like every other industry is getting a tech makeover these days. But then there's real estate, still stuck with those old school commissions. Well, we're diving into a company that's making waves by saying enough is enough. RealtyVolution.com. They're shaking things up with a 3% commission, and we're here to see if it's the real deal.
Right on. Those traditional fees have always been a bit of a head scratcher, right? Like, where's all that money actually going? So let's break it down. What makes RealtyVolution different, and can they really pull off this whole 3% thing?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? RealtyVolution claims they can offer this crazy low commission because they've ditched all the unnecessary expenses of traditional real estate companies. But what does that actually mean?
It's all about technology, really. See, those traditional agencies, they've got tons of overhead, those fancy offices, huge teams, glossy brochures that nobody even looks at all those costs. They end up getting passed on to, well, you. RealtyVolution, they're running things mostly online. Cuts down on those expenses big time, and they pass the savings along.
Okay, that makes sense, but are we sacrificing service for those sweet, sweet savings? Because at the end of the day, you want someone who's going to get the job done. So let's talk about the services RealtyVolution actually provides. Their website mentions things like advertising, open houses, showings, even taking care of all that tedious paperwork.
That's key. It seems like they understand that people still want the whole 9 yards, even with a more modern approach. It's not like you can just throw your house up online and hope for the best. They seem to get that from advertising in local papers and all over the web to giving advice on how to stage your home to make it really pop for potential buyers.
Okay, so they're not skimping on the service. That's good to know. But we all know real estate is all about local, local, local. So how does RealtyVolution stack up in that department?
From what you've gathered, they're part of RealComp, which, if you don't know, is Michigan's biggest MLS. Covers a huge chunk of Southeast Michigan, meaning they've got access to a network of, get this, over 12,000 other agents.
Whoa, 12,000? That's a lot of agents.
It is. And it's not just about Michigan. They also make sure your listing ends up on all the big real estate websites. Realtor.com, Trulia, Zillow, you name it. Maximum exposure is the name of the game.
So you get that local know-how with a seriously wide online reach. Now that's impressive, but gotta ask, they're not exactly a household name like some of those big real estate companies. Does that hurt them at all?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
They're definitely a local player, focusing on Southeast Michigan, places like Lapeer, Genesee, Oakland, Macomb, St. Clair, Tuscola, and Sanilac counties. Seems like that's their bread and butter.
So they've got their niche, but what about the kinds of homes they handle? Do they work with all sorts of properties or are they more specialized?
Good question. And to be honest, the information you found doesn't really spell that out. It's totally possible they work with a wide range of properties, but then again, maybe they've got specific areas they're pros in. Could be first-time home buyers or houses within a certain price range.
Interesting. So they've got a lot going for them, that transparent pricing, the tech-savvy approach. But there are still some question marks, especially when it comes to their reach outside Southeast Michigan and the types of properties they know best.
Exactly. It definitely seems like RealtyVolution is offering a pretty compelling alternative to the way real estate's always been done, especially if you're all about transparency and, let's be real, saving some serious cash.
Yeah.
But like with any big decision, it pays to do your homework.
Absolutely. So if you're in Southeast Michigan and this whole 3% commission thing has piqued your interest, it's definitely worth a deeper dive. Maybe reach out to RealtyVolution directly, see if they're the right fit for you.
Couldn't agree more. Understanding exactly what they offer and what they're experts in, that's key. But there's another piece to this puzzle we should unpack, this whole transparency thing that RealtyVolution is making a big deal about.
Oh, yeah. They seem pretty fired up about exposing what they call those bait and switch tactics some traditional companies use.
Bait and switch. Now that sounds a little shady. Tell me more.
Well, RealtyVolution claims that traditional real estate companies will often hold back information about a property's stuff like the exact location or even the asking price just to get you on the phone.
The old gotta talk to an agent trick. I see. It's a classic way to drum up leads, try to steer buyers towards properties that might not actually be what they're looking for.
Bingo! And that's exactly what RealtyVolution's pushing back against. They're all about putting all the cards on the table up front, right there on their website, so buyers can make informed decisions without feeling pressured.
Well, I have to say, in this day and age, when you can find out practically anything online, that kind of honesty is refreshing.
Totally. And speaking of putting the power back in your hands, this whole transparency thing goes even deeper. It's like they're saying, look, we know you can handle this. You don't need us hiding information from you.
Exactly. And that's huge for building trust.
Right.
It lets buyers take charge of their search instead of feeling like they're being steered in a certain direction. You can see all the details right there on the website, descriptions, photos, the price, even what the neighborhood's like. No more waiting around for an agent to spoon feed you information.
It's definitely a different approach, but the question is, does it actually work?
Yeah.
I mean, does all this transparency actually lead to more people buying and selling homes?
You hit the nail on the head. It's one thing to talk the talk, but in the real estate world, it all comes down to results.
Right. Which leads perfectly into our next point. Let's talk about how RealtyVolution actually helps sellers get their homes sold, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. A smooth, successful sale, that's the goal.
So they've got the whole tech thing down. They're all about transparency. They're plugged into this massive MLS network. But what about the human element? Do they just slap a listing online and call it a day?
Doesn't sound like it. Remember how they emphasize their 3% guarantee and all those included services? Tells me they understand selling a home takes a bit more finesse than that.
Good point. They mentioned something on their website called a comparable market analysis. What's that all about?
That's crucial when you're selling a home. A comparative market analysis, or CMA, means they look at similar properties in the area that have sold recently. Helps them figure out the best price to list your home at.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, not pricing yourself out of the market, but also not selling yourself short.
Exactly. And that takes some serious local market expertise, which luckily seems to be one of RealtyVolution's strong suits.
And they don't stop at just crunching numbers. They even offer advice on things like home staging and landscaping as part of their package.
For sure. They get it. How you present your home is make or break in real estate.
Yeah.
By offering guidance on those details, they're showing they're really invested in getting you the best results. It's all about making your property irresistible to buyers so it sells quickly and, of course, for the best possible price.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about their tech-driven approach, their dedication to transparency, and now this focus on personalized service and that all-important local market expertise. Seems like they've really thought this through.
They have, and that's what makes them so interesting to me. They're using tech to streamline everything, cut down on costs, offer competitive pricing. But they haven't forgotten about those human touches that are so essential in real estate. It's a smart balance.
This is why I love doing these deep dives, uncovering all these little nuances that paint a bigger picture. But what does all this actually mean for the everyday person who's thinking about buying or selling their home?
It means we're witnessing a real shift in the real estate landscape. New models are popping up that actually empower consumers, and RealtyVolution is a prime example of that. They're all about giving you more choices, more control, and potentially saving you a ton of money in the process.
It's definitely shaking things up, no doubt about it. But naturally, there are still some unanswered questions.
Of course, it's always smart to weigh the potential upsides against your own personal needs and circumstances. Think about your location, the type of property you're selling, and how comfortable you are with a more tech-driven approach. Those are all factors to consider.
And never be afraid to ask questions. RealtyVolution seems pretty gung-ho about transparency, so why not go straight to the source and get those questions answered, see if they're the right fit for you.
100%. Knowledge is power, my friend, especially when it comes to big financial decisions like buying or selling a home.
Preach. Okay, we've taken a good hard look at RealtyVolution and their innovative approach to real estate, their 3% commission guarantee, their transparency pledge, and their range of services. But if there's one big takeaway from all of this,
It's that the real estate market is evolving right in front of our eyes. Companies like RealtyVolution are changing the game, giving consumers more options and putting them in the driver's seat.
well said. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this part of our deep dive. But before we go, one last thought for you to chew on. Could this be the future of real estate? Are we on the cusp of a major industry shakeup? Let us know what you think. You know, it's wild when you think about it. So many industries have been turned upside down by technology, but real estate has really held on to its old ways. RealtyVolution seems to be challenging that head on, though.
Oh, absolutely. And this whole transparency thing, it's not just about giving you the information. It's about shifting the balance of power. For so long, real estate agents have held all the cards, right? They have the knowledge, the connections, they know how to work the system. But RealtyVolution is saying, nope, we're changing things. We're empowering you to make your own informed decisions.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about how RealtyVolution helps buyers, but let's flip the script. What's in it for the sellers?
Well, for sellers, the big attention grabber is obviously that lower commission. Think about it potentially saving thousands of dollars. That's huge. But it's bigger than that even. RealtyVolution's whole approach could actually help you sell your home faster and for a better price, too.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more.
Think about it. With traditional agents, there's always that back and forth, that haggling over the commission can be a real sticking point. But with RealtyVolution, the commission is set in stone. It's transparent, no surprises. That takes away a potential point of friction right from the start.
Makes sense. Streamlines everything, makes it less stressful for everyone involved.
Exactly. And because RealtyVolution doesn't have all that overhead, they've got more wiggle room to invest in other things that benefit sellers, like targeted marketing campaigns and getting really professional photos taken of your property for the listings.
So it's not just about saving money on the commission, it's about getting more bang for your buck overall. You're still getting those key services, just in a smarter, more cost-effective way.
Precisely. And don't forget about their focus on data and analytics. They're using technology to track market trends, figure out what buyers are looking for, and fine-tune their strategies for maximum impact. That means a smoother, more effective selling experience for you.
It's pretty amazing to see how technology can shake up something as traditional as real estate.
It really is. But we have to remember that technology is just a tool at the end of the day. What makes RealtyVolution stand out is that they haven't lost sight of the human element. They're using technology to make the real estate experience better, not to replace it entirely.
That's a really important distinction. So as we wrap up this deep dive into RealtyVolution, what are your parting words for our listeners?
Real estate is a huge decision, no doubt about it. Probably one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. It's crucial to do your research, understand your options, and find a partner who gets you and what you're trying to achieve.
Couldn't agree more. And hey, if you're in Southeast Michigan and you're intrigued by what you've heard today, go check out RealtyVolution for yourself. Head over to their website, see what people are saying about them, and if it feels right, reach out to them directly. You might just discover the future of real estate.
And as always, knowledge is power. The more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to navigate the exciting world of real estate and find the perfect place to call home.
Beautifully said. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And remember, whether you're buying, selling, or just dreaming of your next home, stay informed, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.